All right, as you guys can see behind me, we do have the BRZ back in the shop. For those of you who don't know the car or haven't followed any of the videos, I have a video of another BRZ that we did turboed. Everything off that car came off of this one originally. I've had this car for a couple years, and since almost day one that I bought the car, the engine has never had an easy day. It's always been being on, abused, whatever, driven hard, have fun with the car, all that good stuff. This was the original engine of the car. Again, she went through years of abuse and just being mistreated the entire way. Yes, I did oil changes and I maintained the maintenance and everything on her. But after X amount of years of just being abused on, she gave out. The original plan with the car was to go with this motor, which is the 1JZ non-VVTi. And as you can see, I already have the twins already off. I already kind of stripped it down to just a long block. The plan with this one was gonna be tear it apart, take the heads off, take the oil pan off, check the conditions of the engine internally, and make a decision on whether that engine is good enough to just slap together and get ready to throw in the car, or would it have to go to a machine shop to be overhauled, even at the lightest point, which is just pretty much redeck the surface, clean the pistons, new bearings, new head gasket, etc. That engine was gonna go in the car, but due to certain events, now I was able to pay off the debt that I had. So the money that I had saved away for that engine to be put into the car pretty much went away into cleaning some debt. So the money that was left over, I went and picked up this engine, which is pretty much just a replacement engine. Yes, in my opinion, it sucks to go backwards. I already kind of announced it. I was gonna pull the trigger on doing the swap, but at the end of the day, it makes more sense in my opinion to clean up some debt, get some stuff, so therefore there's less money owed in the long run, and just piece everything together to get the BRZ eventually done with that swap later on. So for right now, I am going back to stock. It sucks, it sucks, it sucks, it sucks, it sucks, especially when you have the power and you've driven with the power and you know what the car can do with that kind of power. Going back to stock is probably like the biggest thing that most people will never want to do. The only reason why I'm doing it is because I'd rather have the car back on the road, driving, so I can still have some type of fun drifting the car and have some type of fun in general with the car. And I can still even use it. I mean, she's been put away. She's been in the shop for a while, then she was put in the garage. Now she's back in the shop to get everything put back in it, but she's been off the road, I want to say maybe like 3 going on 4 months, give or take. So as much as I like driving my truck, I love driving this car as well. So this is why I'm pulling the trigger. But the 1JZ thing is coming. The swap is coming. I already made a laundry list of stuff that I want to do. So this motor eventually will go in that car. The only thing is, I just have to wait until the time is actually a little bit better off. What most people don't do are spark plugs. Main reason why is because on the Boxer engine, it is on the side and you do have limited space between the frame rails to actually get in there and change the spark plugs. Not impossible, I've done it before, but it is hard and a lot of people don't want to do that. And a lot of people don't want to pay for a shop to do that. So therefore, they end up never doing it. So I went and already got new spark plugs for the car or for the motor. We're gonna go ahead and throw those in today along with some fresh oil. I was trying to get my hands on valve cover gaskets, but the fact that I want to get this motor in the car today, nobody seems to have the gaskets on hand, and I don't really feel like waiting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the trigger, put this in the car, and just wait for another day or another time when the motor comes out or do anything else. I would like to go with an aftermarket clutch, but being that I got rid of all my aftermarket parts when my engine originally blew up, which was this bad boy, I got rid of all my aftermarket parts, including my clutch and everything. So I did get a OEM clutch, OEM exhaust. I'm missing one piece that hopefully today I should be able to know if I'm gonna get that piece or not. But the majority of everything else I already have. So yeah, whole point is now let's just get started, get those spark plugs installed, fill up the engine oil, or even save that to later, I don't know, whatever. And then go ahead and at least get the engine in the car. But before that, I do want to go ahead and change out this big ass OEM exhaust manifold and go ahead and put the equal length headers that I have. So the engine is pretty much ready to. The motor mounts are kind of tied down. I have a block or a 2x4 in the front holding the engine from tipping forward. Once the exhaust is on, underneath, that's pretty much for the bottom. Up top, all I have to pretty much do is put the AC compressor on the engine, bolt that down, power cables, radiator, condenser, front support. All right, so the car is pretty much already wrapped up. I got it to the point to where I was about to start it up. And as soon as I tried to start it, I realized that the battery was dead. So I went ahead and threw the charger on it. So I'm gonna let it charge overnight. I still need to add the air intake system pieces or whatever. Let the battery charge. Get the last piece of the exhaust that I'm missing. So therefore I can add the remainder of the exhaust. And then pretty much that's it. I mean, add the front bash bar, the bumper. I wanted to get the car done and rolling today, but without that piece of the exhaust anyways, it would have been kind of useless. So I got to the pretty much as far as I can without the little pieces that I could be doing right now. Might as well do them tomorrow because I still have more that I gotta do anyways. So I'm pretty much gonna go ahead and wrap it up here tonight. Tomorrow, we should go ahead and finish up. Hopefully we get that exhaust, hopefully everything's done, and hopefully everything's ready to go. So therefore we could go ahead and drive her in the road and start driving her already. All right. All right, guys, welcome back. As you guys can see, we are still working on the BRZ. So a little bit of an update. For the last couple days, I've been recording. I've been doing little updates here and there. Been kind of showing the progress on the car. And being that it's a new GoPro, I was kind of messing around with the settings of the camera. And I realized that a lot of the videos that I shot were only audio. There was no visual to them. So pretty much you're gonna see the car being still worked on to pretty much the car being fully done. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I already had done a test drive and everything. I already done the ECU swap over, which leads me to what we're doing now, which is again, another ECU swap. So when you guys are working on cars, good tip to keep in mind would be, don't rush anything. Yes, it's easy to get sidetracked when you can see the end results, whatever, you know, like you're almost done with the car, you're almost there. The car's about to be on the road, well, whatever. And it's easy to get caught up in that moment and it's easy to forget things. So originally I had done the ECU swap, put it in, whatever, did the reflash, everything was perfectly fine. And then I tried cranking the car, it wouldn't turn on. I thought I grabbed the ECU that had the tune on it, but when I went to go turn it on, the car didn't want to turn on. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I grabbed the wrong one, maybe I grabbed the OEM one instead. So I went back to his house yesterday, picked that other ECU up, and then brought it back to the shop and put it in the car. Now, I went to go turn it on again. It was doing the same exact thing. And so that's when I started looking into it. I was like, you know what, let me look into what it can be causing this or whatever. So I went ahead and I checked the fuse box, and sure enough, I took out the fuse for the fuel pump. Don't tell nobody. So right now I'm in the process again of changing the ECU back over to the original one that I had, which I thought was the wrong one that I had. And I'm doing that reflash right now. I did go to Greeley, Colorado to pick up the last front piece of the exhaust that I needed. I threw that on the car. The exhaust is perfectly fine. I'm still missing a couple of the gaskets or whatever, but just for the sake of getting the car on the road and trying it, I just kind of put them together without the gaskets. So I will put those back on. I did put the front bash bar on. I did put all the OEM air box and all that stuff back on. So yeah, everything's back on in the car. I turned it on. Like I said, I test drove it yesterday. What made me realize that I had the wrong ECU was the simple fact that while I was driving, every time I came to a complete stop, the car kind of wanted to turn off. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? Yes, it was still driving even with a stock ECU. It was still driving even with the E85. I was like, but it's definitely the wrong ECU because again, I didn't have the fuse for the fuel pump on. Talking about the plans for the car now. So yes, the plan was to eventually do the 1JZ swap in the car, which I do have the engine right there. And I do have the CD09 over there. But for the time being, the money that I have going towards that swap went off into paying off some more debt. So clear choice, I did that. And then now I'm in the process. I'm gonna have to start funding or start doing jobs and saving money to get the swap done. Even little by little, start ordering parts here and there. So that's still going on. That is still gonna happen. I'll be damned if you know, if I even try thinking about selling that motor and the trans or whatever. That is gonna happen, you know. But as of right now, while the car's stock, I figure it is a perfect opportunity to pull the trigger on teaching the wife how to drive manual, and then jumping that straight into teaching her how to drift. Now, I've always wanted to get another. I always wanted to get another one of these cars, completely stock, so she can learn how to drive and learn how to drift in. So I feel like this is a perfect opportunity. While the Mistress is almost back to like as stock as possible, with the exception of like the roll cage, the bucket seat, the handbrake, and you know, little things like that. I figure this is a perfect opportunity for her to start learning how to drift in. So the plan with that is maybe if she starts liking drift, maybe she'll be a little bit more lenient for when I come spending money on the car and, you know, making the car more of a drift car or whatever. Maybe I won't get as much crap for actually spending money on the car if she actually starts getting into it. There are a couple things that I will need for the car to finish it off. One would be the hood, because I did have the hater pipe when the car was turboed and everything. So there is a big hole right in my hood. I am looking for replacement front and rear bumpers, just because the ones I had are so thrashed on and beat up and abused already, so I kind of feel it's time to replace them. And then I'm also looking for a skid plate for the bottom of the car. When I did Ash's car, his skid plate was so destroyed from being bottomed out and scraped up because his car was super low that I pretty much just broke it, taking it off, because all the bolts were so grinded down you couldn't get anything on it. So I just cut it off and said whatever. So in doing that, I gave him mine, just because I figured I probably wouldn't even need it no more because I was going with the 1J swap. So yeah, so now I'm looking for the skid plate as well. There might be other things here along the way that I might be needing, but as of right now, that is pretty much the gist of it. All right, guys, so yeah, the car is pretty much done. Just letting her warm up, and then I'm gonna take it back on the road or do another test drive on it to see if this is legit the right ECU that I'm supposed to have. So yeah, I mean, if everything goes well, she's just gonna become another daily for now. It'll be a lot cheaper to drive this back and forth to work as opposed to driving the Tundra. So main goal for this one, just to recap, this will probably be what the wife uses to learn how to drive and then in turn learn how to drift in. So that way, not only can she participate in some of these drift events, she can also possibly, probably, hopefully, fingers crossed here, not complain as much when I spend money on swapping it over to the 1JZ. So again, it's the goal. It might be a little bit unrealistic right now, but At least that's the plan for right now. So yeah, so I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, worst case scenario, she does get hooked into drifting. She does bite the bug. She ends up loving it, whatever. And then in turn, what I can do probably is just end up giving her this car. Give her this car, let this one be hers. Probably cut the roll cage out of it and make it just like, you know, a fun car for her. And then I'll probably pick up another chassis, probably just a shell, in turns to do the one Jay-Z swap on. So I don't know. I mean, like, as right now, nothing's really set in stone. This is just ideas on possibilities of what could be. So let's see what ends up happening, and let's see how or which direction the future ends up going in. So, but I mean, at least I'm still glad that the car's back on the road. Had some fun with the car for the first time in a while. So again, if anybody has a hood, front bumper, rear bumper, and skid plate, let me know. I am in the market looking for those. Alright guys, we are back to doing another test drive. Hopefully this one goes better than the one that I did yesterday, so yeah, let's see what happens. I gotta get used to the engagement on where the clutch actually grabs. I'm so used to it being a lot lower with the previous clutch setup. And then when I did the Hyundai Genesis, this clutch, that one engaged really early as well, so now I just got to get used to this one being really high up, so it's not making me go jerk back and forth a lot. So, but already I can feel a big difference. I mean, yes, I'm driving with the AC on, and if I really want to, I can turn it off and, you know, like open it up a little bit more. But just as far as the difference between one ECU to the other, the throttle response on this one, you can feel it a lot better, a lot more responsive, and you can feel like a little bit more torquey to the touch when you're giving a little bit of gas. So far so good. I just want to see what she does when the car comes to a complete stop. Yesterday she turned off twice, and then she was kind of like idling like barely around 500 RPM. So now it's just pretty much, let's see what happens when I'm driving it. I do maybe like a wide open throttle pull and lead into maybe a full stop to see if she turns off, or does the RPM stay nice and idle. So, but already she's already a little bit more live. So yeah, man, the header, the E85 tune is ideally what this car should have felt like out of the factory. All in all, I mean, it's a fun car. It's like you can take these as stock as can be, and you can take them to the track and have a lot of fun with them. She feels really good. So the next step for this car, and it's something that it's been pending for so long that it kind of sucks I haven't done it yet, is get the adjustable tow arms for the rear, so therefore I can go ahead and dial in my rear grip a little bit more, man. Because back then it was always, do I spend the money on tires and seat time and just driving the car, or do I spend the money on some of these parts that limits how much fun I can have at a track because I'll have less tires or whatever? So for me, it was always an easy choice. I was like, you know what, I'd rather buy more tires and just have more fun, and then just learn how to compensate on, you know, the tires spitting out more, not gripping up as much. So now that the car doesn't have the power band anymore, I feel like this would be the perfect time to go ahead and start trying to dial in the rear grip, because I'm gonna need it against some of these cars that are, you know, yep. So she's still turned off, and it has to be something has to be something like, you know, something else that I'm overlooking. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could probably be something on the air box. I don't know, there's something that's going on that's causing it to turn off every time I come to a complete stop. Maybe it's the fuel. Maybe the E85 was sitting for so long. I don't know. Like, maybe the best thing is just run this out, let it drain it, put as much miles, let it burn itself out, and then put a new tank of fuel in it, a V85. So, I mean, maybe that's it. Who knows? Let's see what happens. But other than that, she drives good. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I was like, I'm gonna need the rear grip now that I don't have the power band anymore to keep up with some of these higher horsepower, faster out of the hole kind of cars. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see which way I go with this car. But overall, yeah, she feels good. I mean, I'm gonna start dating in it, so maybe whatever little bugs it has, it starts to work itself out. So I think this is a good spot to end the video. So yep, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.